We are. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Sorin Chok, and I'm the undergraduate program director for mechanical engineering. Dr. Lahine is also online here with us, our chair. And we also have Ms. Debbie Kravchuk. Debbie, can you say something?
Welcome, everyone.
We also have Darlene Stevens. Well, there's always problems with the microphones. So Debbie and Darlene, they are the advisors, the academic advisors for our students, and they basically handle all day-to-day academic affairs in our department. So can we go to the next slide? We don't have a long presentation for you today. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so about mechanical engineering in general. So about engineering, I'm going to say engineers are apparently our number one profession among people who have a net worth in the 7 figures, which is I found that kind of surprising. But it is very logical because of the traits that engineers develop as they go through the program. So you have the traits that listed. And all those traits, they're also helpful in for people managing, their affairs. Can we click the next, please? The first year after graduation, and we're number 2 if you look on the list, just behind Ohio State. But if you're also looking at the debt to earnings ratio, so the amount of debt that the students graduate with divided by the annual earnings in the first year, we're actually the best in the state. So that's a good place to be. And the reason for this is that the affordability of our program, but also the fact that our students have the opportunity, actually they are required to go to a CoOp program. And you probably know about the CoOp program, which is mandatory, of course, but and we can have a chance perhaps to talk about that with our student graduates. Can we go to the next slide? So about mechanical engineering in general is the broadest field of engineering. If you're not sure what kind of engineering you want, or if you are sure and you like cars or wind turbines or engines or manufacturing or thermal and fluid sciences, this is the place to be. But it's the broadest. So I like to say that you're going to find something that you're going to love in this field because it's so much. So again, just looking at the wind turbines, they of course they're going to have the fluids part in them because they capture the wind. They also going to have structural and solid mechanics design and simulations about them, and they're also going to have a very nice, very good, problems in manufacturing. We also include nanotechnology in mechanical engineering. Can we go to the next? The largest at university in terms of number of students. And that's a good thing because what it allows us to do is to offer classes each semester. So this way, our students have a lot more flexibility. And we are, of course, fully accredited. And in addition to the fact that our faculty is doing the teaching, they also do research. And the research lab also offer opportunities for our students to work in those labs in a wide variety of kind of projects, or I'm going to say subfields, computational fluid dynamics, aerospace, biotechnology, structures, additive manufacturing, you name it. There's a wide variety of research that is being done in our department. And undergraduate students are many times, if they're interested, of course, have the opportunity to work in these labs, either as assistants or even do co-op, if they're for larger projects. Can we go to the next slide? So to kind of close in some ways, here you have some pictures about from some of our graduates at NASA, in a lab in the middle, at the Marathon Oil, and at what is the name of it, Debbie?
Which one?
X Space, right? Or
yes,
SpaceX.
yes,
SpaceX.
SpaceX. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Um, these are our graduates, right? Or our professor, you have Professor Gupta there in the middle. The thing is, again, I'm going to repeat the skills that you get during your program that you learn and you have a chance to practice as a student in mechanical engineering are going to be skills that are also transferable. So of course, you want to work as a mechanical engineer, but that being said, you're also going to learn about teamwork, about communication, about problem solving. And these skills are transferable not just in other fields of engineering, but in generally many other fields. And that includes also in general kind of attitude about life. Um, I think I'm kind of close. This probably is my last slide. So if we go to the next one. Up to this point, we're going to go in the next part of the presentation, in which we have a few of our students and recent graduates present here, and they can talk and answer your question. But perhaps, is there anyone who has any questions up to this point that I can perhaps answer?
We'll also be available for questions at the end of the presentation, and we can supply you with some email information as well, so that if you have questions that come up afterwards, we'll be happy to help you get those answers.
Of course, but in case I'm not sure what kind of worries you, what you're looking for, and because we want you to have the best decision that is for you, right? We want you to come here, of course, if you want to come here, and we want you to be successful in our program. So Ben, would you like to start?
Yeah, so my name is Ben Wolek, and I am, like it says there, from South Lyon, Michigan. I'm just going to be graduating here in fall 2021, so I'm in my last couple months right now. And just about a week or two ago, I accepted a full-time offer from GM in their track program, which is an early career development and rotational program, which I'm looking forward to going to. I did all 4 of my co-ops at Dana's mechatronics departments, and I had a very good time there. When I first came to UT and I was in your guys' shoes, the co-op program was actually something that I was kind of concerned about, I guess, just because nobody else really had offered that and stuff like that at the other schools I was looking at. And but it has turned out to be a very good experience, and I'm very glad that I went through them, because without going through co-ops and stuff like that, I mean, I don't know how people go through a full-time job. And I see some nodding from other people and stuff too. I don't know how you get through a full-time interview without being able to talk about work experience. I mean, you go through a 2-hour full-time interview or something, and they're asking about all this stuff. If you can only talk about school projects or something, like some of my friends with other universities are in their situation, that'd be really hard to get a good full-time offer. So the co-ops pay off in more ways than one in terms of work experience, and the fact that you graduate with over a year of industry work experience that you can put on resume and applications, but also the fact that it helps pay for classes and stuff like that. Most co-ops pay for well over what a semester of classes cost, and after you're midway through your sophomore year, you start alternating, so you can usually pay off classes very easily with co-ops. So that's pretty much my story, though. The picture there is from the Formula SAE team, which I'm a member of, and we design and build a race car right in the College of Engineering here every year, and it's all students who are on that team and drive that car and stuff like that. So that's a picture of me from a couple years ago in that car.
Thank you, Ben. Are there any questions for Ben? Okay, well, we'll move forward a little bit then here.
I do see one question at least in here.
Okay.
So how many co-op rotations are there? Asked by Elizabeth. There are 3 that are mandatory, and then I know a lot of people do a 4th, so I ended up doing a 4th. But the fourth rotation is optional. You can either do that 4th rotation, or if you're behind on classes, you can use that semester to make up classes or anything like that. But most people, I think, do 4, like I did. So.
And I do have a question from Elizabeth. She asked, how many mechanical engineering students are there each year? So I teach the orientation class this semester, and I have 175 students this year. So it's about that every year, just so you have an idea. How many, what is the faculty to student or teacher to student ratio? Well, I don't know that ratio by, out of, I think we have about 20 faculty, active faculty, and yeah. Any
Awesome.
other questions, perhaps?
Yeah, if I could chime in on that too. Most of the, like Dr. Shock was saying, your very first couple classes are pretty large just because everybody who just entered school is going through them with you. And then as you go through, your classes pretty much get smaller and smaller. By sophomore year, most of your mechanical engineering specific classes are down to, I'd say 50 or 60 people. And then by the end here, I'm in a manufacturing engineering class right now. That's, I think there's about 20 something people in that class. So it definitely drops more and more, as you go through. So.
Thanks. I also wanted to add too, when we were talking about the importance of co-ops and how beneficial they are to our students, we do have an entire department dedicated to helping those students with those co-ops, everything from resume development, practice interviews. We hold a number of different career fairs, both virtual and in person, throughout the year. And in our department alone, we have two directors that are completely dedicated to the MIME student, the mechanical engineering student, to assist them in getting those positions. Okay. Next.
Also looks like it looks like Alana asked a question too right there.
Okay.
So she asked if co-ops really help paying for college or if it's a small amounts. So I won't do the full math on it and stuff like that, but I was making at my last co-op here $22.40 an hour, $24.40 an hour for about 4 months. So that paid for probably somewhere around 3 times the amount of what classes cost, just with very rough math in my head. But yeah, co-ops pay very well though. I mean, I'm not sure what the average pay is, and it's not that in your very first one, but as you go through, you get paid more and more with each one. But they definitely pay for more than classes for most people. So.
If I could chime in really quick, I actually was thinking about that earlier. And if you are like disciplined with your spending, you even with like an average paying co-op could, assuming you don't spend vast amounts of money while you're going to college, you can easily afford all of your college degree with just the co-op money. That's even including if you don't have scholarships. So it is definitely possible. Most people choose to spend it on other things when they're in college because we're college students. But yes, it is definitely possible.
Thanks, Nate.
Are you directly admitted into the college, or is it competitive? Well, we do have some standards of admission, right, which are different from the rest of the university, and they are higher than the rest of the university, but they are the same as the rest of engineering. But when you apply, you are in mechanical engineering from the beginning, yes. And can you change your major? Yes, you can change your major. The first, maybe I'm going to say a few semesters, actually, there's a lot of overlap between majors. And so that's going to be fairly easy to do, to switch. Later on, then you can still switch, of course, but there's going to be some classes that you already took that may not count towards your new degree in, for example, mechanical. Any other questions?
It looks
All
like
right.
there's another one about the typical length of the program in the Q&A box as well.
Okay.
For most students, it's 4.5 years of consecutive semesters with 3 to 4 co-op rotations, and that can change the length of the degree just based on when you're taking those co-ops or if you elect to do a 4th one.
And I think you get your first summer off if that's still in the curriculum plan.
It is.
4.5 years means 4 years and 1 semester. Yeah, but then if you do major, you can do a bit longer, or if you want to take more classes, why not? Or shorter, depending on how many co-ops you're doing as well. Some people prefer to actually do an extra co-op during their studies. Okay, so Nathan?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan Pollock from the Cleveland area. I just graduated this August with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. And I've actually, for the past 2 months, been working in Honda's interior design as a full-time design engineer. I actually just started getting parts, being put in charge of parts, and taking on some of those roles and responsibilities. As far as the co-op program went, I did all 3 of my rotations at Honda, and that kind of helped me get the position I have now. So very thankful for the co-op program. And I think, to add on to what Ben said, I don't know how other students do it without the co-op program. I think it really sets UT apart from other colleges, and I think it really sets UT students apart from other engineering students across the country. So I always thought it was kind of funny sitting in on some of Honda's co-op orientations, because you get kids from Purdue, Rochester Institute of Technology, kids from Texas A&M, kids from all over. And I think it's funny that, UT is, or not funny, but I think it's awesome that UT has provided me the same skills and, some even better skills and tools than other students from all over the country. So it's a very competitive program. And I think it really sets you up for success. Any questions?
Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now, Nathan? What kind of projects you're working on?
Yeah, so it's all new model activity. I'm in charge of most of the parts are already set in stone and designed, but making final design changes, getting those out to be ready for mass production. I can't really get into the details of the exact project because some of that information is still restricted, but very interesting. A lot of 3D work. We use CATIA. You'll use SolidWorks in undergrad, but they're very similar. That's another great thing that UT does, is train you on that. I know Ben's probably had a lot of experience from FSAE, which only aids it. So UT does a lot for that. It's a very cool job. Never thought I'd be in this position when I was in your guys' shoes. So very thankful for UT. And if you are interested in the automotive industry, there's plenty of positions to get.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emma Sampson, and I'm a May of 2021 graduate. And to speak to the typical length of the program earlier, I graduated in 4 years rather than 4.5 due to doing co-ops alongside my degree as well. So while I was in classes, I was on co-op, which was able to shorten the overall program length for myself as well. And so that was an opportunity that was presented to me by the company that I did my co-ops at, which was Duramagnetics, which is where I'm currently employed full-time as a product manager and continuous improvement engineer. And this is located right in Toledo, Ohio, so it was convenient for me while I was in school because it was within 15 minutes of campus, and so that made the effort of having co-op and classes at the same time work out well. But for me to just chime in with what everybody else has been saying as well, obviously the co-op program definitely set me up for success, and also for my first full-time position, as I stayed with a company that I interned at. But another thing that I want to speak on that I thought was really great about the co-op program is the location of the University of Toledo offers you a vast amount of industry opportunities when it comes to co-ops and full-time positions. So to Nathan's point, automotive industry is huge in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan. But you also have a large amount of medical companies in the area that come and recruit from the University of Toledo. Food companies come and recruit from the University of Toledo, commercial, construction. And so for me, I chose mechanical engineering because it was the most broad. And then I enjoyed that as I was looking for co-ops and full-time opportunities that fit my interests, is that it did offer a vast array of industries and opportunities as well. And so I couldn't speak higher of the program and the opportunities that I had. I'm very thankful, and now set up full-time in a company that I love, doing work that I love as well, because of the opportunities that the university provided for me while I was in school.
Emma, what are some of the classes that you feel have been a direct link or direct relationship to the work you're doing now?
Sure. Well, definitely the engineering or project engineering class that I took that with Dr. Steve Hubner. I'm not sure if he's teaching it anymore or not, but that class goes over a lot of the details of product realization, which is something that I'm closely working with now, is product realization and advanced product quality planning. I do a lot of work in the aerospace industry, and so we do a lot of product realization that goes all the way down into the very, very smallest component of a product. And there are extensive requirements across the smallest component, the number of bolts, and doing full testing on each and every product as it goes to realization and as it goes to the market. And so for me, that class really stood out. And at the time, I had no idea that I would end up in the position that I'm in now, or even that I was interested in ending up in that position. And throughout that class, it definitely set me up for success in the job that I'm in now and the companies that we're working with now through ISO standards and aerospace standards.
Terrific, thank you. Any questions for Emma?
Hello, my name is Michael. I'm a mechanical engineering major, minor in professional sales. I will be graduating this fall. I have a locked in a full-time position at L3 Harris, and they are a defensive aerospace contractor. They deal with electronic warfare like surveillance and laser targeting. I will be a design engineer there, and like everybody else said, the co-ops are they're definitely invaluable. I did my co-op I did all three of mine at United Airlines. Then I went with Willowwood. They make prosthetics. And then Wartech. It's an elevator company up in Toledo. Each one was very unique, and I couldn't have done without UT's like resources. And one thing I really want to speak out to is one thing that's really unique about UT in general is not many schools offer professional sales minor. So it'd be a great thing to jump on. The company at L3 was astounded that UT there was even a minor. And on top of that, this school has endless resources and endless opportunities to get you to where you need to go, whether it's through undergrad research or organizations. I'm a part of FSA undergrad research, and just those alone have been able to help me take me really far in places I didn't even know I could go.
Where are some of the places you've been able to travel with the Formula Car?
I've traveled to Lincoln, Nebraska, Barrie, Ontario, and MIS. We host there's an international competition. So we're only seeing teams from inside the US, we're seeing teams from South America, Europe, Singapore. We're seeing teams from across the entire country. And you actually get to go up and talk to them and learn, get to associate with them and find out what their designs are.
Yeah, while Michael and I have been at Toledo, we've also hosted 2 German teams for a combined 10 months or so, which was a lot of fun. So that was also some international experience and stuff.
And and not just mechanical engineering students are part of the FSA team. We have students from other disciplines as well. Can you talk about some of their input and contributions?
Yeah, so the team's open to everybody of all majors. I know when I was a freshman, we had a medtech as our president. We had at one point currently have a psych major as our VP. It's open to everybody, and they enjoy it. They love it. They love the teamwork, and they just love the association with it. It doesn't build just engineering skills. It builds a lot of teamwork, interpersonal communication, knowing how to sell stuff, negotiate, solve conflict, and it's all invaluable in the workplace no matter where you go.
Any questions for Michael?
Yeah, I'm Nate Bender. I'm currently set to graduate at the end of this year with my bachelor's. And instead of getting a full-time position, my career took a interesting turn, which I'll kind of talk about as I'm going through this. So I did 4 co-ops, all at Drive or Tenneco, and they're an automotive supplier. And my first one was in application engineering. My next 2 was in research and development, and then my last one was in manufacturing. I'm not going to talk a lot about the co-ops because literally every person has said how awesome they are. So if you don't get how awesome they are, you're not going to get it just from about it. But one of the things I will say is like you do work a lot of hours on them. So like you're working typically 40 hours a week for 16 to 18 weeks. They're not just like 10-week co-ops. Like I have heard of some colleges who will do like, oh, your internship is 10 weeks. Like they can last a long time, which may not seem like a lot, but that means you can get a lot of experience and work on a lot of projects while you're there. So, yep. So as I was doing my co-ops, the company really liked me, and I really enjoyed working there. So when it was getting this year in time for me to decide where I wanted to work, they were like, "Hey, we want you to work here full time." But at the same time, I was offered to stay and do research in undergrad, doing research for NASA and OAI on some heat generation for some lunar missions. And that was like, I liked automotive a lot. As you can see, I have a Ford GT poster right there. But my dream was always like aerospace, but that was like, that's just like a dream. But like Emma said, you know, UT has or not Emma, Bucket said this, sorry, so many opportunities. Like I thought I could only do automotive because I was on the racing team and all this, and then I get thrown like this curveball of like, hey, you could actually do your dream industry at the University of Toledo, which I was like, sure. So I really enjoy my research I'm doing here, and I have really good prospects for getting full-time positions at NASA or Space Force or any of those companies like that post-graduation. So that has been great. The university has, like they said, a lot of resources. They can help you out getting a job, as well as connections. They host a lot of mixer events, so you get to meet people and talk with people. Yeah. Any questions about anything?
Nate, I know you're still currently an undergrad student. Can you talk about the research opportunities you've had as an undergrad student and how those have, what different options are available there?
Right. So I did not know up until like halfway through this year that research in undergrad was even a thing. And the university is doing a better job at publicizing that now. But yeah, so like research in undergrad, what that looks like for me right now is I'm taking classes, just like my regular 15 credit hours, 17 credit hours. But then for 20 hours a week, instead of getting like a part-time job, which again, we have money from co-op, so it's not necessarily needed, but you can do undergraduate research, and you get to really like research versus work. There's a lot of similarities. When you're doing research, you're more interested in like academia, like looking at papers, figuring out like the nitty gritty of how stuff works. So for me, I work directly under Dr. Gupta. She's one of our great professors here, and she will like lead us on different projects, which like really benefit me. I get a lot of different experiences, while also not being totally consumed by like the workload because it is only part-time. So I'm totally able to manage even my senior year when I'm doing senior design and a lot of very interactive courses. I'm able to manage doing research and courses at the same time. It's also an option, I believe, I haven't done this, to do them as a co-op, as a co-op credit. So some people take advantage of that. Like I know probably during COVID when the job market took a plunge, I think there was some people who considered doing that. I will say now, if you're curious, like where the job market is, it's like insane for engineers. It's not very difficult to find people wanting to hire engineers right now. So.
Excellent, thanks. Another option when in some of our research labs, sometimes they have specific projects. It's just a short term, looking for an end result to complement someone's long-term research or some of the fields that they've been working on. And we do have students who are undergrad students who are helping in those areas as well and can use that as a course actually. there's a number of technical electives that our graduates, our students are required to have to graduate. So in some cases, they can use the work, and again, there's specifications for all of that, but in many cases, they can use that as well. So the options of how that incorporates into your degree really depend on what you're looking for and what your goals are. And Nate is a prime example of how that has affected his career choices.
And to build with that, I recently also found out about undergrad research, and I'm also taking part in it. So I started it last spring under Dr. Amita Mealy for a supersonic wind tunnel. And at that point, I was just helping out. I was getting my feet wet. I was doing a lot of, like Nate said, a lot of academia research, going through papers and learning theory. And then, as Debbie said, in the summer, I converted to a technical elective. And it was really cool to just be able to, it helped lighten the class a little, but also still learning a lot along the way. And it was grateful. And I was grateful for Debbie, Dr. Mealy, Dr. Chalk, and me advising for allowing me to do that and helping that process. And then to push that even further, it's now turned into my senior design project. So what I thought was just going to be one semester of work, and I'm turning into a year long of work that ends up contributing 6 hours towards my major at the end of the day.
Right. Another thing with what Bucket or Michael Burkett, we call him Bucket because of his last name. It's a habit after knowing him for several years. The other thing about research and co-ops and just the university's program in general is making you, like people said, well-rounded. Like I can go in and say, oh, I'm really good at 3D modeling. Like that is a good skill to have. However, if I'm really good at 3D modeling, but I cannot manage projects, then that is not going to get me anywhere because you need to do that. So you get a lot of experience like that on co-ops. Same thing with research, is it allows you to broaden your field of understanding. Like I said, I did 4 of my co-ops in automotive, doing like really like pure application based. I would go onto an assembly line, design stuff, and test. But now I'm doing like thermal research, which like also I didn't even know was a part of mechanical engineering. Dr. Chalk mentioned that at the beginning, but there's not many better thermal experts out there for heat transfer than there are like mechanical or chemical engineers. So yeah, if you're somewhat any bit interested in like how that stuff works, like I kind of am, that's there as well.
And
yeah.
Oh, sorry. One thing not to be afraid of is I've talked to a few students at the university. You don't have to have like any prior experience, either like hands-on or even theory. The professors are here to help you and guide you to get you where you want to go, whether it's short-term or long-term or full-time. They will help you learn the material and take you where you need to go and get you where you need to be. So you don't have to have any prior experience or knowledge, even of race cars. I enjoy it. I didn't know anything about race cars when I joined the team, and it's turned out well.
I see there are some questions about majoring in mechanical and minor. So let's see a little bit about how does the program go, right? So you get in, you start your classes. First, you're going to have kind of more general type of classes, but also engineering classes. Like in the first semester, you have CAD, right? And you have a project in the orientation class. Okay, so you go through this. You are going to have math, physics, chemistry. You go through some of that for about a year and a half. And then you can start your co-ops, right? And then you alternate co-op class, kind of like that till the end. And as you go through the program, then you have again more and more opportunities, like you guys said, right? You can start taking technical electives, and these are kind of a wide variety, but you can focus those technical electives in a field that interests you, perhaps from your co-op. You would like to work in aerospace, let's say. Well, you're going to take those technical electives in aerospace, right? And we actually help you doing that because we created something called concentrations, such as concentration in mechatronics, right? Right now, that's a very active, concentration, but we're starting materials, manufacturing, aerospace as well, right? So you focus your technical electives and your efforts into those, and because you want to work in those types of industries. Okay. Now, how about bioengineering, right? well, there's a lot of overlap between mechanical and bio. We do have a lot of classes who, if you take, for example, our fluids class, it's equivalent to the class in the fluids in bioengineering. And there's a few other classes like that. But that being said, there are different majors. So you can do a double major, and that's absolutely fine. Or you can finish a degree, mechanical, let's say, and then you do masters in bio, right? That's another option. Or, you know, the other way around, do bio and then come to masters for a master's with us. Again, if you do like that with different fields, it's going to take a bit longer. It has to take longer because you have those more specialized classes that you have to take. We do also have, that's another option that you may have as you go through, you start getting options. Again, you have these opportunities and, you know, take those, right? So another option is, okay, if I want to continue with the master's, well, we do have that. It can be done a bit quicker, right? Because a couple of classes that you take for as technical electives for your undergrad degrees, they can be taken at master's level actually, and they're going to count for both, for your undergrad and for your master's, and then it gives you a quick start, right, in your master's program. You're going to have now to take fewer classes in the master's, so it allows you to perhaps focus on the research in there, or I don't know, maybe doing a little bit shorter, depending on again what interests you. But the point is, we do offer these opportunities, and you heard from our students that the opportunities that they had. We offer those, but of course you have to, you know, you have to be active and you have to take those, right? Another one, and they talked a little bit about that, student organization. So Formula SA is a big one. It's a bigger organization as well. But there's others. There's a bunch of other student organizations in which, yes, you want to get involved because you want to get, you know, to get to know people. You want to, you know, to have to basically practice your leadership skills, right? Because you're going to organize meetings, you're going to organize different types of activities. They can be here around the city, but they can be abroad as well. Those kind of activities. We had Engineers Without Borders, people involved in that, and so on, right? So again, depending on what interests you. If you're interested in, I want to do a semester abroad, yes, you can do that, of course, yes. We do have a lot of universities all over the world that are, you know, we have relationship with them, and our students can go there for a semester and take those classes if they're interested in something that those universities offer. Any other questions? So I kind of talk, and maybe you guys want to add to that.
Yeah, Dr. Chalk, if I could actually add to that. I was actually in a similar position as you, Elizabeth, wondering about the bioengineering program coming into your position. One of my neighbors back home is actually the head biomechanical researcher at the Cleveland Clinic. He actually started his undergrad in mechanical engineering. And I think it just speaks to how broad the program is. I think you've heard us all talk today. We're all doing different things, but there are a lot of extra classes that you can take that are bio-specific. Dr. Hefsey, who is one of the mechanical design professors, does a lot of research and actually teaches a couple electives in biomechanical research. So there's a lot of different classes that can help you get toward that bioengineering route. But I think mechanical you can't go wrong with because it's so broad and it covers so many different fields. I think everybody would agree on that one.
Yeah, and let's add to, for example, you deal with manufacturing, but for example, bio related to devices, then there's manufacturing specific for those, right? So you can take those type of classes and work in a research lab. For example, like the Lahinia's lab works with that, you know, smart materials and also biocompatible materials, right? So you work in a field, in bio field, but you're a mechanical engineer there, right? And you have all this background that allows you to understand those processes, you know, better than perhaps a bioengineer who took those bio classes. So it's a different aspect of it. But that being said, if you want to get then more specialized in bio, so take more of those classes, of course you can take, right? You have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, just building off of that, so with my co-ops, you don't, just because you're a mechanic doesn't mean you can't do a bio-y, doesn't mean you can't do a bio position or you can't do a chemi position. There's just certain specializations. That's one of the beautiful things, in my opinion, about mechanical engineering. like I said, I've worked on everything from elevators to prosthetics for legs to aircraft. Mechanical is very, very broad. You can bounce around as needed, or you can go. It's a very diverse, broad range. So if you find out you get into somewhere, you end up not liking it, you're not specialized per se. You can still go to another department or another industry that you would that best fit you.
Yeah, that's perfect, Michael. That is again too how our co-ops play into that. So as you get into an area and you work on projects and components of what that might be, you might find out that even though you always thought you wanted to be in the auto industry, that really isn't what's cut out for you. Again, the medical industry is a huge growing thing, like Michael said, and we have many students who work on prosthetics, and through the ability centers here in Toledo, we have a great relationship with them. As the sustainable energy and environmental issues and stuff come up as well, we have many mechanical engineers who are working and researching in that area. So that's another area that's not just devoted to environmental engineers or civil engineers. So there's a lot of crossover in all of those areas.
Yep. Just to add to that a little bit, in terms of the practical route of pursuing kind of two things at once. So when I entered college, I was not so much looking at medical, but I was very torn between mechanical and electrical engineering. So I had, I don't know if Ms. Krafchuk remembers, but back in freshman year, we had several meetings about how to combine this stuff and everything. And there were no options that I was seeing that were going to be in still 4.5 years and stuff like that. So you could, of course, like Dr. Truck was saying, either double major or go for a graduate in one or the other. What I ended up doing was I'm obviously pursuing a mechanical engineering degree, but I spent basically all of my experience both on the formula team and in co-ops trying to build up electrical knowledge too. Which allowed me to get this GM job, because without that, I would not be getting this rotational job. It helped me get a very well-rounded experience, which I think is important in this day and age with mechanical engineering, just because electrification is definitely the direction of the future. So when I was on the formula team, I spent all of my time on the electrical sub team, and then I did all of my co-ops in the mechatronics department, which we have a big thing on our wall in there that just says the integration of electronics into mechanical systems. So that's another way to kind of pursue two things at once. Like Michael had mentioned, kind of going and trying to get co-ops in that area too. So there's plenty of companies. My girlfriend happens to be a bioengineer, so I know several of them, but she did all of hers at Ethicon and stuff like that. So you could definitely look into doing co-ops in bio industries, and then you can talk about that and have that on your resume too without adding class time.
Perfect. Yes.
All right, so any other questions from anyone? If not, I think, Debbie, you have a couple of slides about admission, or how does it?
I do, and I thought I saw something that just popped up on my screen, and forgive me, I'm new to this hosting thing. I think it was a CCP question. And again, yes, our program is very well defined and laid out, and we find that students who come in with a lot of CCP or AP credit are prime students to pursue the minor or a specific concentration, complete the extra co-op, because they do have that extra experience and classes covered coming in. So it just gives them a little bit more time and wiggle room in completing the degree requirements here at the University of Toledo. Yep, we are closing in. I've got that we have about 15 more minutes. So we would like to invite our undergraduate admission specialist to speak now for a few minutes, and certainly will be still available for questions following that presentation.
All right, hopefully y'all can hear me all right. My name is Scott Jackson, Regional Enrollment Manager for the University of Toledo. I recruit primarily Northeast Ohio and Pennsylvania, so if you're from one of those areas, maybe I've run into you, and if not, hopefully I see you soon. But yeah, do just have a couple slides regarding admissions and scholarships and things like that. So the University of Toledo is very much a straightforward institution. We are not trying to hide anything when it comes to the application process. We provide our students with two options when it comes to applying, including test optional and the traditional admissions pathway. Test optional requires our students to submit just a high school transcript to be considered for admissions at the University of Toledo. What's great about our test optional approach is that every major is still a direct admit major. You are not losing anything by applying test optional, and you're still fully considered for scholarships. And I'll talk a little bit about those here in a second as well. When it comes to that holistic review for test optional applications, what's extremely important is your GPA, of course, but the level of classes you're taking. So I know for the College of Engineering, they look very heavily at pre-calculus, and they want to make sure that you've completed that and you've done well in that course, at least going into your senior year, to ensure that you can start off on the right foot going into your math classes your freshman year. But for the University of Toledo as a whole, we really take a deep dive into that transcript, really make sure that the classes you've taken are setting you up for success, along with the strong grades you've earned throughout your 4 years in high school. The traditional approach for applying includes sending in a test score. So if you have taken the ACT or the SAT and you'd like to send that score in, by all means, you are more than welcome to send that score in for us. For that, there's different requirements depending on the major, so you can always reach out to the admissions office because they do change a little bit depending on if you go test optional or submit a test score. But I know with the test score, I believe the College of Engineering looks for a 22 ACT, and a 22 on the math, and then a 550 on the math for the SAT. And the concurrent SAT score for that as well. So I believe that's around 1150, something like that. I have to brush up on it, but just to give you an idea, the options that are available to you. Speaking of the test, we do super score both ACT and SAT, and you might be wondering what that means. Really, we're taking the highest section scores from each test and combining them together to give you a higher average, hopefully a higher average. So if you do better in math on one test and then better in writing on another, we will super score those together and give you a higher composite score for admission to the University of Toledo. It's important to get your application in early. Our priority date for this year is January 3rd, not February 3rd, but we typically tell students December 1st is when they really should be looking to get those applications in, just to ensure that they are good to go before their holiday breaks from school and hopefully can come back to school in January with an admissions decision ready for them. A little bit about our scholarships. So for our merit-based scholarships, that is the majority of what our students receive at the University of Toledo. Our merit-based awards this year are test blind, which means that even if you submit a test score to us, we actually won't use the test score for our merit-based scholarships any longer. We're going solely off your GPA from high school. Our scholarships this year started at 3.4 GPA and are on a sliding scale up, starting at $3,500 up to $6,000. So our students can receive those awards for their entire time at the University of Toledo. The big thing is keeping your grades up. I believe the requirement is to keep at least a 3.0 to have those scholarships renew every year. So that's an option for our students. Rocket Nation is available for our out-of-state students, which is an $8,500 scholarship, which goes towards that out-of-state fee, and it can bring your total down close to in-state costs. So at that point, you're paying almost in-state tuition without receiving any additional awards. And to receive either of those scholarship opportunities, all you have to do is apply to the University of Toledo. So if you're admitted, you're considered for those scholarships. And typically those scholarship notifications, at least for merit-based and Rocket Nation, will come out mid-December going into January. A few other scholarship options for students. We have our Presidential Scholars Program. That's our highest scholarship program at the University of Toledo. Students that are interested in that program, usually requirements are around a 3.8 high school GPA, along with a 30 ACT and the subsequent SAT. If you've taken that test, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head. I think it's about a 1350 to 1400. But for that program, it's a separate application. You, if you're selected for the interview, you'll interview with some staff and faculty on campus, and they'll base their decision off the interview process. That scholarship for 8 students is a full tuition scholarship, and for 4 additional students is a full tuition, full room and board, and a one-time $3,000 stipend that they can use on professional development or educational experiences. Our Levis Leadership Program provides students with a 4-year leadership program where students can go in and work with the university at different offices and students on campus to build those leadership properties that you might need for a future position. But along with that program, students are given a scholarship. I believe it's $2,000 and can be given to them renewable for all 4 years as well. Outside of that, we do have some additional scholarships you can apply for, including just our general scholarship fund. You can apply as soon as you're admitted. So as soon as you know you're admitted to the University of Toledo, you can apply for some additional scholarships through financial aid. The application doesn't take too long at all, so definitely check that out. And don't you worry, the admissions office will bug you about it. So we'll let you know that those scholarships are there, ready to go. And then same with college and program specific scholarships. You can find scholarships specific to the major you're admitted into. So definitely check that out. Once again, additional applications for some of those, but not too hard at all. And you know, an essay is not much to ask for some additional scholarship money. So definitely take a look at that as well.
Any questions for Scott? Go.
All right, I don't see any other questions, but we can still wait a couple of minutes.
Yeah. I do see the second part of the CCP question was, are there any online classes? The university prides itself in offering face-to-face classes, as we feel that that is the best student experience for both the student, the faculty, and your future employer. But we occasionally have some classes that are online. Many of our humanities and social sciences can be offered in that mode. And we have a third option, which we call remote learning, in which case some of our very large lectures, the lecture portion of it and stuff is offered by remote learning, meaning it is at a specific time and day, but it is via a computer screen. So you're on the other side of a computer screen from your professor. So it's still a live lecture. It's just that you're not all sitting shoulder to shoulder. And then typically those types of modalities are used when there's also an accompanying on-hand or in-class lab associated with it. So those would be associated with our chemistry, physics, some of our very large engineering courses as well, our mechanics of materials, those kind of courses. So those have become very popular. They work well because we can have a large number of students. And even if we were not in the COVID restrictions or being safe, they're still nice because one professor can reach a large number of students at a single time and then break those up into those smaller labs. So it, again, provides a lot of flexibility for our students with scheduling, particularly how they mesh with their co-op opportunities. I will add an email here for everyone. So if there are questions that come up, maybe. I'm not very good at this. There we go.
So as you get in, you may have a little bit larger classes. Again, I was saying that we do have the orientation class has 175 students, but that being said, we do have labs into that class. So divide them in 30 groups of 30, and each of that group of 30, we have subgroups of 4 students who work on a project. And the same thing with the CAD class, right? It's also, you have a large lecture, and then the students go to the labs and they work independently, kind of with the teaching assistants, and so it's not you are, you know, one person out of 1,000. It's we do have that personalized education. Any other questions, perhaps? Stuff that worries you? Yes.
I actually saw a question pop up about the application fee for UT. We do have an application fee. It is $40, but if you are looking to have it waived, we just ask that you reach out to the admissions office and connect with your admissions advisor. You can find it right on our website. Just shoot them an email and we can get you all taken care of. But it is a $40 fee to apply currently.
Okay, thank
Looks
you.
like there's another question there for you, Scott.
All right. Sorry, I didn't realize I needed to scroll down. Sorry. Yeah, so if your counselor sent the test scores via email, as long as it's from the school counselor, we can accept them. So just checking with our office to make sure that we get those test scores all uploaded for you, and you can check on the status of your application as well.
Dr. Chuck, looks like somebody asked a question also about mechanical and biomedical engineering. If you can field that one.
Yes, so the question is, can a student do mechanical and bio at the same time? And the answer is yes, we do have a couple of students who do that. Yeah. It's more classes to take though, so it's going to take a little bit longer. But yes, it's doable, of course. And in general, we have people from, so students from bioengineering coming to us. And my guess is that because of job opportunities in mechanical engineering, there's probably more, it's a wider field. And yeah, yes, it's global. And there's there's overlap between those two programs, indeed. But there's just separate classes as well. For example, senior design, you can do just one of them. Fluid mechanics, I know that it's the same, and there's quite a few others.
And as Dr. Chalk mentioned at the very beginning of this presentation, we do have students the very first semester, all engineering students, regardless of what major you start in, attend a class on introductory engineering, orientation. They go by different names, but they cover all of the other engineering disciplines as well. So that very first semester, you are given extra exposure to the other departments here in the College of Engineering, so that if you do decide that maybe your interest lies a little stronger in a different area, we can make sure and get you to that so that your interest and goals are as aligned as we can get them.
Another question, can you do like a pre-med through from mechanical engineering?
You can.
Yes, of course.
In general, it is through the bioengineering program. Most of our pre-med students are, but we'll certainly work with anyone to, again, to get them to the right resources and the right connections to get you where you want to go.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Again, I did add that email in the chat box, so if you have additional questions, please, by all means, feel free to contact us. I know that there was other information also sent with your invitation to tonight's event, so there you have that contact information as well. And again, we will make sure if we don't have the answer for you, we will make sure we get you to the resource for that answer. I'd again like to thank all of our panelists, all of our students and alumni who took the time to share with us tonight, as well as our chair, Dr. Elahania, and our undergrad director, Dr. Chalk. Darlene and I are both grateful for everyone's assistance tonight and helping us get the word out about how wonderful the mechanical engineering department is here at the University of Toledo. Thanks, everyone. Good night.